What's up, everybody? This is the Digital World Podcast, and today I want to get into um talking about digital currencies because more and more you start seeing these central banks, the BIS, talk about developing their own central bank digital currency, and so I kind of want to reiterate that fact because I do believe the narrative is being set. And when you start hearing things and they start coming more frequently and from more angles, you start realizing that this is a thing. And how they're going to accomplish it, I'll show you that at the end of the video, where I think this other narrative of what I'll show you is going to come to fruition at one point or another. So I want to go ahead and play this video that I showed you again yesterday because it's going to tie into something else that I'll play from Augustine Carson's, which is he's from the BIS, which is the Central Bank of Central Banks. So let's play this video again to see what he has to say.
All our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of the general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash, and there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues are extremely important, and that makes a huge difference with respect to what cash is.
So they'll have complete control over the monetary supply, okay? And they'll be able to see who uses what. Now that's important. So that means that in these central bank digital currencies, they're not afraid of competitors coming from the cryptocurrency market. And why do I say that? Now, in this video, and shout out to, I don't know how to pronounce that, but shout out to her for showing it. And also, thank you to Ben Ricker for showing this video. He says private cryptocurrencies have not made many inroads in terms of working as money. Therefore, I don't see any challenge to sovereign money coming from privately used digital currencies. Okay, so let's listen to what he has to say, and then we'll have a conversation about it.
See any dominance of cyber currencies. They're new, they're innovative, they're serving a purpose more than anything. Particular cyber currencies as a speculative vehicle. It helps. You could claim that it helps diversification and so on, but they really do not have made any inroads in terms of working as money. Stable coins also have some limited applications, and they have their own role for very specific purposes. Therefore, I don't see any challenge, I would say, to sovereign money coming from these privately used currencies.
Do you think there needs to be more regulation in the private cryptocurrency space, though?
Yeah, because to a large extent they're used to do some arbitrage or to circumvent some regulations. I mean, AML-CFT, for example, is completely it's quite absent in many applications of some cyber currencies. There are aspects also of reliability of the systems in terms of investor protection. I think that we need to move forward. Also, some stable coins, if they were going to be applied massively, the issue of what is backing those currencies is of the essence. And we have many episodes in the history of finance where something that is supposed to be completely backed, at the end, it doesn't end up being fully backed. Therefore, I think yes, we need to work on regulation so that these instruments are fit for purpose.
Well, going back to the subject of central bank digital currencies, there are many central banks out there looking and evaluating the benefits of introducing one. China have already started a pilot scheme of the e-yuan. Do you think it matters which central bank gets to issue a central bank digital currency first? Is there a war in terms of timing going on?
I don't think so. I mean, I think this is, let's have this very clear. A central bank will put will issue central bank digital currencies, in particular for retail purposes, if it makes sense for their domestic economy. Obviously, we need to think about the international ramifications of this. We need to make sure that we can put together a network of convertible CBDCs and that this helps us for cross-border payments. But initially, a central bank will make up a decision if it makes sense or not for their own purposes.
Did you just hear that last part? Let's play it again. Let's see right here.
A network of convertible CBDCs and that this helps us for cross-border payments. But initially, a central bank will make up a decision if it makes sense or.
Did you hear? He said they want to create CBDCs that help with cross-border payments. Okay. Now, what company has been working with cross-border payments? I mean, I don't think I've heard of one, have I? No. Okay, we obviously know Ripple has been working with cross-border payments. Now, they're not there to take over a sovereign currency. They're there to be the bridge so you can exchange from currency to currency. And this will allow interoperability. Those walled gardens or those silos in which different banks and institutions operate from will be lowered. And we've heard David Schwartz talking about it that if they don't want it, then you just put a big red button there so that when they're ready to lower down the walled gardens, they can lower them. So right now this narrative he said this video is a gem. Go back and listen to. There's little gems in between here where he's talking about cryptocurrency CBDCs, but I think that end part just puts a stamp on it. This is why I reiterate the fact of knowing what you own. The price may go up and down. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you're an investor, all you have to worry about is knowing what you own and managing that investment. And so I think sometimes we're too focused on the price of something. And yes, I'm guilty. Sometimes I check and stuff, but I have to bring myself down to reality and tell myself that the price is a distraction. Like it's not what should matter. The values in the protocol, and we've heard that from. I'm blanking on his name right now, but he had an interview and he said basically that the exactly what I just repeated right now, that the price is the distraction, but the real value comes from the protocol. Okay, let's move on here. Michael Valfivling said or posted an article that Edward Snowden has slammed Bitcoin for its lack of privacy. Well, we know that um, there's no anonymous transactions. That's all fake. It's all recorded on the blockchain. And so for those people thinking that it's all anonymous, well, think again. Think again. XRP Crypto Wolf says Norway's central bank says Bitcoin is too resource intensive and costly to function as money. The central bank is working on its own digital currency project and plans to publish a report on it in April. And I'm telling you, a lot of central banks are gearing up. We hear it. We hear a lot of talk about central bank digital currencies. Sorry about that. And so my dog's over there barking at the window. And so we see that, yeah, the narrative is definitely being formed. And we see CBDCs become a major talking point. And I know a lot of uh, central banks around the world have posted about what they think of the central bank digital currencies. I mean, the BIS posted an article or a document talking about what it thought, as well as 66 other central banks. So, and I talked about it in one of my videos. So go ahead and check that out. Now, I want to end on this note. I've been talking about a cyber attack. I actually did a video on a possible cyber attack that could freeze the financial system. And what happens if it's successful? What happens if there's a cyber attack, maybe on the US or worldwide, where all the systems go down? What happens then? And you hear, I've heard snippets here and there talking about it. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but it's a possibility. You have to entertain the possibility. And Mark Carney, who's a very respected individual in the world of finance, listen to what he has to say.
Now, we've had a financial crisis that came from abroad. We've had a COVID crisis that coming from abroad. We have a climate crisis, which doesn't entirely come from abroad because we're partly a contributor to it. But we have these things. We have risks every day of a cyber crisis coming from abroad as well. Now, the responsibility of government is to think about those crises and take steps today to help protect the economy, protect Canadians, because it's through no fault of Canadians that they're hit from these, and so they need to be protected. And in order to protect, one of the first point I make is you have to plan for failure. You have to plan that some big American bank is going to fail. You have to plan that a cyber attack is going to be successful, and then what are you going to do to make sure our systems continue to work? You have to plan that there's another virus that comes out of in some country, so that we have the resources here, the capacity here to address the virus in the future.
And I mean, I'm not saying to think that every single thing he said is going to happen, but they're all possibilities. And so, can you imagine if a big bank here in the United States failed? There would be a lot of chaos, or if, like I said, a cyber attack. It's something that you have to be aware of. So, hope this episode has brought you some value. Like and subscribe. And Mark Carney here, you have to think about the words he's saying because it could apply to us in the near future because it's not over till it's over. This is the Digital World Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.